Hello, Supervisor Lusk. I thank you for this opportunity to come and talk with you. As you know, my name is Zander Thompson. I'm in fourth grade and I go to Riverside Elementary.
Great. Well, I'll say thank you very much for inviting me to come and be a part of this interview. So I'm real excited to be here. So thank you.
These questions. I keep hearing people talk about equity. Can you, can you explain what this is and how it affects me and my friends?
Yeah. So let's think about it this way. So equity is something that you do the same for everyone. So let's think about if someone wants to ride a bike and one person is 6 feet tall, the second person is 3 feet tall, and the third person is in a wheelchair. So how do you create a bike that would address the different heights and mobility issues that people have? So with equality, you basically would give everyone the same bike, and everyone can't ride that bike because of their different circumstances. So with equity, you look at the situation that the person is in, and you create the bicycle or tricycle or device that will allow them to pedal that would meet their specific circumstance. So I say this affects our community as well, because we have to look at what are the specific issues that individuals have in a particular community. So let's say you look at certain communities and they might have, higher, rates of crime, or they might have lower educational attainment. They might have higher unemployment. They might have less opportunities for people to be able to get training and new skills. So what we have to think about and be focused on is how do we address the issues that are in those communities and make it easier for everyone in the community to be successful. So we might have to do with equity different types of things with different folks in the community. And how that affects you is it means that we're going to look at each community and make decisions based on their specific needs. One thing that we are thinking about in the district is trying to figure out how we can create more opportunities for both young people and adults to learn about technology, how we can help them get access to training, and how we can help them get access to specific employment that will pay them a competitive wage. And this will allow them to be able to support themselves, to purchase housing, to pay for food, and to really be able to be self-sufficient. And this is a big and important thing. Everyone deserves the right to be able to be successful and productive, and we're going to do everything we can. And this is why, I serve on the board, is to make improvements so that people can have, a better quality of life.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
Yes.
Did you always want to be a supervisor when you were growing up?
When I was young, I didn't know what a supervisor was. So I knew what a city council member was. And I knew what a mayor was. So in some respects, I've always been interested in politics my whole life. So my grandfather and my grandmother, really taught me that, you have to think about how you can be of service to your community and how you can make things better. And I always saw and understood that politics and government was a way for that to happen. So I've always been interested in I've always been interested in government. I studied government in college. It was my favorite subject in middle school, high school, and I worked for 30 years in Fairfax County government doing different jobs. And then once I got to retirement age, so I actually retired from the county, which is kind of crazy to think about. I feel young, but I got to a place where I was old enough to basically retire. And as a result of that decision, I recognized I wanted to do something different. And I could have maybe decided to go in the private sector, or I could have gone to another government, but I decided to come and serve on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors because I really believe that I can make a difference and help my community. And I've seen it firsthand. I worked for Jerry Conley, who was a supervisor in Providence District, and now he's a congressman. And I also worked for Kate Hanley, who was a Providence District supervisor. And they taught me kind of like how you can be engaged and how you can work to support the residents in your community. So I kind of learned over time, and I watched, and I'll say this has been an extraordinary year with COVID. It's just been so difficult. But to really answer your question, I wouldn't say I always wanted to be a supervisor, but I always knew I wanted to be in government, and that this is the logical extension of the work that I've done over the last now 31 years.
Thank you. What is your favorite food?
What is my favorite food? Let's see. I like a lot of things. My favorite food is probably a fish. I don't know if you've ever heard of grouper. So grouper is this huge, kind of ugly fish. And it's kind of more of a bottom feeder, but it's a flaky white fish. And for me, it's just amazing. So it's one of my favorites. I like to get it blackened wherever I go. So like at Mike's just down the road, they make grouper, and I usually get it blackened when they have it on the menu. In addition, now, but you should have asked me, what's my favorite dessert? I love desserts. Ice cream. So I'm always open, anytime. So I've got 2 daughters, and my daughters know this about me. If they come to me and say, Daddy, we want to get ice cream, I will take them anytime, any day. We'll get ice cream. Dairy Queen. We'll go to Stone Cold. We'll go to wherever. We just love ice cream.
Yep. Great. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color? This one's kind of interesting. My favorite color is red, and I normally don't wear it. And I just recently purchased a new car, and it's red, and it wasn't like I had intended to purchase it. I actually got a call from one of our old family friends, and she had a car that she wanted to sell, and it just happened to be this car, and it just happened to be red. But now I'm really happy that I have it because it's red, and I really like it. So red is my favorite color.
Yeah, and that used to be my favorite color too.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
What does Black History Month mean to you?
Black History Month means a number of things, and let's think about this. The first part of Black history is really acknowledging the contributions of so many African Americans to the United States and to the world. And I think of folks like Dr. Charles Drew, helping, create the first opportunities to do transplants, so blood transfusions. An African American doctor, figured out how to do that. I think about, Mae Jemison. She's the first African American female to basically go out into orbit. She was an astronaut. She was also a doctor. And I think about so many others who have, made contributions, and in some cases, at the time that they lived, they weren't acknowledged for those contributions. And I think, for us to recognize that and to know that, folks who look like us have done some extraordinary things. The second thing that we have to do, and this is really important, is that we have to remember that so many who came before us, our parents, our grandparents, and our other ancestors, they died for us to have so many rights in this country. They died for us to have the right to vote. They died for us to have the right to go into the public schools with students who don't look like us. They died for the right for us to have equal access to employment opportunities. And I think we owe them a great debt. And the debt is we have to respect and honor them by being serious about voting. We have to all vote and be engaged in the political process. We have to work as hard as we can to be as successful as we can. Because again, the opportunities for us to go to school, to go to, elementary, middle, high, and college. These opportunities were fought hard by people before us. And, I think we have a responsibility to think about what will we do with our lives to do and be of service to others. What will we do to be of service to others? And I think those are, so important, and they are, foundationally a part of Black History Month. And then the last thing I'll say is, no, I think I'll close there.
Thank you. Who do you look up to?
I'm really fortunate that I live with my grandparents. So my grandparents taught me so many lessons as a young man growing up. And I'll say that the reason that I sit here before you, Zander, and I'm here talking to you as an elected official is because of my grandparents. They taught me so many valuable lessons. The first is that they made sure that I honored my commitments. And what they said to me is that any person that says they're going to do something, they need to actually do that. And that's a part of who I am. The fabric that makes up the person that I am is that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to work as hard as I can to make sure that that gets done. The second thing that they taught me is that, you've got to be really committed in this life. And that if you set goals and you work hard, you can be successful. And I took every one of those lessons that they taught me to heart. And then the last one that I think was probably the most important is this: be of service to others. That we live in this world and others have helped us and others have been a part of our success, and that we should think about how we can help others and be a part of their success as well. And I watch my grandmother, and I'll say, she talked about the importance of all these things, but what she did that was even more important is she showed and demonstrated it every single day. So I was fortunate to be able to interact with her and to go places with her, and I saw how she committed herself to helping others. She would take prescriptions to people's houses. She would go shop for food and take it to their homes. And she would go sit with people who were what they call shut in. So that means they're older and they didn't get to get out. She'd go check on them and just sit down and talk with them and make sure that they were okay. And I'll say this, which is probably the most powerful thing I ever saw my grandmother do. And this is something that has been ingrained in me since I was 14 years old. So my grandmother, when my grandparents bought their house, they lived in Old Town. So Old Town has mostly townhouses. So they're houses that are connected to each other. So my grandmother and grandfather bought a house that was on the end. It's like an end unit townhome. And there were 3 other townhomes that were connected to it. They were the first African-American family to be connected to white families in the city of Alexandria in a townhome. So the families who lived right beside my grandparents did not like that. So one in particular, it was 2 older women. I won't name them, but they would call the police and they would call the fire department on my grandmother and say there was a fire in my grandmother's house or that there was some crime or criminality going on in my grandmother's house. And my grandmother would never get upset. She would answer the phone, and sometimes she would call the police back and say, I apologize, I'm sorry that they came. I did not call them. There's no things happening here. So eventually the fire department and the police department figured it out. There was someone calling and saying that there was something happening there, and it really wasn't happening. So fast forward 30 years. So my grandparents moved there, and then about 30 years later, as the 2 women who lived right beside my grandmother got older and sicker, my grandmother would go over and take care of them. She would make their food. She would help clean their house. And not once did she say anything bad about them. And I tell you, if you see that and you witness that, it will make a very indelible mark on who you are. And I feel an obligation I feel an obligation to honor her and my grandfather by continuing to do work that supports and helps others. So my grandparents are at the top of the list for people that I admire and respect. And then, of course, I am a big, big fan of Dr. King. And he has a quote where he talks about service. And it goes something like this. Don't kill me. I'll try not to butcher it too bad. But it's everyone can be of service because anyone can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. Your subject and verb does not have to be in agreement to serve. And second, all you need to serve is a heart filled with love and a soul generated by grace. So those words have stuck with me as well. And I think service is something that is important. And I hope that the folks who are listening, I hope you, Zander, as well, because I believe that you also want to be of service to your community and that you have some pretty ambitious goals. And I want to help you. I want to see if I can do something to help you reach your goal, which I think is an admirable one, by the way. But others who are listening, think about how you can help others. That's so much more important. You know, many of us are focused on ourselves, and many of us are focused on things that we think are important in life. And ultimately, a life of service is the most important thing. So those are my heroes, to name just a few.
Thanks for sharing that with me. If you could make one wish, what would it be?
If I could make one wish, wow. I would make the wish that, you know, people are really perceived for who they are and not for their ethnicity or race. You know, that we have true work around ensuring that we support and help everyone become successful. And, you know, just being focused on, you know, not ourselves, but of others. So that will be my wish. It just be a larger view of how do we help and how do we look at others for who they really are and not be preoccupied, you know, with race, ethnicity, and many of the things that we unfortunately are preoccupied with here today.
Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
What message do you have for other youth that will watch this?
The message is that there are people who care about your future. And I want you to know that if there's something that I can do to help any of the folks that are listening, please feel free to reach out to me. I mentioned this earlier, people have helped me. I've been fortunate, and I'm not one of these guys who is gonna, thump on my chest and say I did all this on my own, because I know I did not. I've worked extraordinarily hard. There's no question about that. But I've had some opportunities along the way. I went to the University of Virginia. I did, very well there. I met people who have been influences in my life, and you don't even realize, what connections can mean in terms of opportunities. Someone can introduce you to a person that might be hiring, and that person might say, oh, so-and-so, and they said that you'd be great for this position. And the next thing you know, you're in the job. So those things, happen, and you have to be mindful that those are because someone took interest and helped you. And I want the folks listening here to know, I want to help you, and that I want to see all the young kids who are listening to this be successful and be self-sufficient and reach your dreams. And please, dream big. Think about, whatever it is you want to be, focus on how you can actually become that. Talk to someone that's in that profession. Read up on what education do you have to, achieve in order to become, say, an astronaut, or how do you get into the Naval Academy, or how do you go to the University of Virginia? So there are people out in the community that can help you make it to where you want to go. And sometimes you might have to ask for help. In other cases, someone might just come and help you, and it'll be a blessing. And I'll say, don't ever get too despairing. I think life has a way of being difficult at times, so we're all going to have peaks and valleys as we go through life, but we have to focus on reaching the end goal and stay focused on that goal. And I believe, again, all the folks who are listening can be extraordinarily successful.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, let me ask you one question. So, Zander, you talked about this ambitious goal that you have. Why don't you share it with me, and let's let the others hear it as well. What do you want to become when you grow up?
I want to become the president.
The president of
America.
I love it. So you want to be the next Barack Obama? Yes, I believe that you can. So what are you going to do? How are you going to become the next president?
I'm gonna work hard and try to make people feel like they have a voice, and make people feel equal and not feel sad all the time. And it is hard times because it is coronavirus now.
Right.
But I want everybody to feel like they still have a choice, have a chance to live. They still have a reason to live on this earth.
I love it. I think that's extraordinary. So think about this. The thing that you said is that you're going to make sure that everyone has a voice. You know what? And the only way you can do that, Zander, is that you have to listen to them and hear what they need, so you can be an advocate for them. Very good politicians know how to do that. So right there, you're already on the right track. So keep me posted. I want to know how you're doing. And if there's, again, anything I can do to help, I will be happy to do that. And the same for anyone else listening here today. If there's something I can do to help any of you, I would welcome that and look forward to it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And again, thank you for having me. I enjoyed our conversation here today. And I look forward to seeing you because I'll be in the neighborhood soon. So I'll let you and your mom know when I'm back over near your community. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much.